Hey there, Simone here with Bulletproof Business Growth. As always, with some ideas and insights, what to pay attention to when you're growing and scaling your business. So today I want to talk about how for many business owners, one of the highest costs in business is not moving forward, not making decisions, and they feel stuck around that. So most of our clients work 60 to 80 hours a week at least working in their business, which means there's absolutely no freedom to focus on growth. So there's really a trap when you're stuck in running the day to day versus steering the future, which as the CEO, as the business owner, that's truly your job. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for over 15 years. I've worked with hundreds of business owners in all different industries, all different size businesses, phases of businesses. And what I found is that what we're talking about today could be one thing that could change everything in your company, because what I find is that most of our clients are stuck in this cycle. They're avoiding decisions. I found that over all this time that one of the biggest costs that business owners and CEOs have had is when they're not making decisions, they're not moving forward, and that means they're not guiding their businesses at the speed and at the clarity that the business is calling for. So this is kind of the pattern that keeps you in the same way of doing business like you've always done it before, but that means you can't grow at the level you need to grow because that requires something different from you. So this is what avoiding decisions is what keeps most business owners stuck. So when you think about this, this is like making decisions is really the key to transforming your trajectory. So when you're avoiding decisions, it's a pattern. It might seem safer because the choice could be wrong. In the past, maybe you've made wrong decisions that have cost you. Maybe, for some of our clients, they've worked with the wrong people. They've hired the wrong people. They have had the wrong partners, and it's cost them dearly. But just because of that, they're being very gun shy now, and they're not stepping up at the level that the business needs them to. So when that's been happening, now that you're telling yourself that it's better to think about it, and I hear this all the time, I need to think about it. But the problem that happens is when you are in that pattern, in that habit of always thinking about it, well, the thinking about it goes on and on and on and on, and then really no decision is made. So thinking about it really just means I am not making a decision. And when I look at what that has cost our clients over time, I'm going to not exaggerate. I'm going to say it's going to be billions of dollars. Because when you're not making the decision, it's a pattern that keeps you stuck where you are. Because when you're not making a decision, right, it's because something is holding you back. So now you are influencing and determining your future by the experience of your past. So just because at some point it hasn't worked, that's now what you're taking forward and what's not going to make your future work, right? Of course, there's been decisions that haven't worked, but think about how many have. And that's the absolute shift in focus when you have to think about, okay, maybe sometimes it hasn't worked out, and sometimes it has cost you to make a decision when you're emotional, when you were in a space where you really felt something, when you didn't have all the data, right? But think about how many times those decisions have actually been good, and you've moved forward and you've experienced something you never had or never had before because you went out on a limb. You risked something, you dared something, you made a decision although it was uncomfortable. So what most humans seem to only remember is when it didn't work versus when it did work. So what we found is that those non-decisions really hold you back the most. Because what happens is you don't make, you're the business owner, you're the leader, everybody's watching you, you're the model for everything. So what happens is when you're not making a decision, everything else behind you is backing up. So that means problems are lingering, tasks are not being completed, you're losing opportunity because you're trying to decide if this is a good idea or not, but you don't even get to decide because by the time you do decide, it's already past you. The boat has sailed. Somebody else took advantage of that opportunity. So it's what I see all the time is that people are staying in that really, really uncomfortable comfort zone. So this is their comfort zone, not making a decision, and it doesn't matter how uncomfortable it is. That's their story, and that's what they're sticking to. So that means complete inaction happens. Now, this is how you're handling it. Just think about how that's impacting the rest of your company, your team, right? Because now they're looking at you as kind of their crutch, and they're not having any ownership over making decisions either, because they're used to you making all the decisions and you take too long to make decisions. So they're stuck waiting for your decisions. So they're following the same model, the same patterns. So what that means is what happens to your time is you're constantly sucked into the minutia because they can't make decisions. Now you have to. That also means you're not investing your time where it really matters, which is expansion. So you are stuck on this treadmill that's going nowhere fast. And here's the unpopular truth. The only antidote to that is breaking that pattern, because right now, the way that you're making decisions, maybe that fits your company where you are right now. That's gotten you here, right? But if you want to get to a place where you're doubling, tripling, 5xing, 10xing your business, you have to make decisions faster. Think about this. A CEO of a 10x company from yours, right? A company that is 10 times as big as yours. Do you think they can sit on their decisions? Hells no. They have to act when it needs acting on. So this is where you have to make decisions faster, even though it might be really uncomfortable to do that. And maybe you're not 100% sure and you don't really know how to do it. But if you can't trust yourself, then you can't move forward. So high-level CEOs make decisions faster, and that's really where you have to get. You have to get to a place where you trust yourself, you trust your gut. And it's honestly not about doing more research or finding more data. You already know what you know. You don't need more data. You just need the guts to make the decision. So you have to learn to trust your gut. You have to, and that comes with experience. Right now you're trusting the experience that doesn't work because you're actually pulling from the wrong data. So now it's trusting yourself that you are pulling from the times that it did work. So you're pulling from the right data that's determining your future and not your past. So you must learn how to trust your gut. And in the beginning, you just have to decide to the best of your ability with the data that you already have. It's hardly ever about needing more data. It's just your crutch for not making a decision because you're uncomfortable making it. So honestly, any decision is better than living in analysis paralysis. And will you make mistakes? Yes, you will. But then the only thing that matters is that you learn from these mistakes and use that data to make even better decisions even faster. So making the wrong call actually is progress, because it means you actually dared something. You did something you didn't know how to do. You took a risk, which is progress over not making the call. And again, it starts with you, right? You're the CEO. You're the one everybody's looking at. But think about that, how you're not making decisions, how your way of making decisions is impacting the whole company and of course, your team, like I just mentioned before, because what your role really is empowering your team to make decisions on their own. If you want freedom, that's what you have to go for. So you have to be able to push the responsibility to their level, which is empowering them. And of course, you have to give them clear guidance and boundaries for making those decisions. So you have to show them, you have to model what it means to make decisions and how to make them. So because what you're going for is a team that can steer projects independently in alignment with your crystal clear vision. Of course, that means you have to have a crystal clear vision, and you have to have communicated and articulated to your team in a way where they really understand how they fit into that vision, what it means to them, what your strategy is that they can base their own strategy on. Without that in place, that's pretty difficult for them to do that. And then, of course, we have to get from the vision to the clear action plan to the communication all the way down the line. So that's a foundation that has to be in place. But when you have a team that steers projects independently, that pushes the envelope in alignment with your crystal clear vision, that is immense freedom. That's exactly where your self-led team, where your self-led company lives, in this place right here, right now. So this means for you, you don't have to be stamping approval all day long. You don't have to deal with tiny details. So that means you can shift that down so that you can focus up, which is what we're going for here. So that means you finally have the freedom and the time to spend on planning, to spend on innovation, to really work on your business model and make it meaningful and make it current to what's happening right now. In the last 3 to 4 years since COVID, for most companies, there have been a lot of shifts. There's been maybe not the necessity to do a complete pivot, but most companies have had to make some sort of adjustment and optimization to their business model. Now, if you're kind of just going like you've always been going and you haven't taken the time and the initiative and the bandwidth to really work on that piece, you're probably losing business right now. You've probably lost a ton of business in the last few years. Maybe you still had a good year in, 22, 21, 22, but then last year it was a dumpster fire. And that's exactly why, because your focus was not where it was. So this is your time where you really have to take the time and use your time wisely for prospecting, for innovation, for optimizing your systems, to look really at what the next iteration is of your business. And that means you get to do what you love. You get to really, truly hang out in your sweet spot, which is where you should live. So the bottom line here is that incremental decisions really get you exponentially further than not making decisions. So if you need to, if this is scary, you can start small, but make those choices and learn from the outcome. So that will help you when you do that. It's kind of like you're training making decisions. And as you make more and more of them, faster and faster, you'll trust your gut more. And that means you're gaining momentum, and then you can really tackle those bigger strategic decisions that right now really scare you. But don't let analysis paralysis and fear keep you stuck. The challenge that I want to give you here for the rest of this quarter, which is very long, is when there's a decision to make it. There's no more pushing it off. There's no more thinking about, there's no more needing more data. There's no more needing more information. Just make the decision, because you already know how to make it. You just have to trust yourself, and you can't pull from the bad examples in your past to make the better decisions in your future. So I hope this helps. We have a brand new training out there that addresses all this in detail. Go to bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, and check out the free training. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I will see you next time.